Welcome to Discover Your Goldmine by certifying others to deliver your programs. I want to thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Sheila Paxton, and people refer to me as the Certification Pro, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that later. Before we get started, though, I want to introduce you to our Google Hangouts expert and guru, John Paduchak. Let me just tell you just a bit about John. He has mastered these Hangouts and coaches people like me to deliver them. And so John said he'd be happy to work with us today. And a really unique part about John is that he's also going through the program certification formula, the program I'm going to tell you more about later, himself. So John, please say hi, and would you let people know what to do if they have any problems during the broadcast?
I'd be glad to. Hi, everybody. I'm John. And as Sheila said, if you have any problems, if you're having trouble viewing this broadcast or anything as we're going along, you may want to just refresh your screen if you're not seeing us. But aside from that, just enjoy the show.
Great. Well, I am glad to have you here. That's for sure. Definitely makes me more relaxed.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, good. One more logistics point I have for you. If you'll take a look at the right side of your screen, you have a bar. And on the bar, you have a section that's chat. What I'd like you to do is when you have a question, I want you to put it in the chat box and just click enter or submit. And then we'll be able to answer those along the way. So if I don't answer your question immediately, please feel confident that I'm going to address it before the end of this evening's program. So definitely make sure to submit your questions. This program is for you this evening. I'm going to be sharing some exciting possibilities, and I want to make sure that they're clear to you, so let me know if they're not. So also, I want you to know that there is plenty of time at the end for questions and answers where I can take, your specific questions, and even, you can talk to me about your specific program and how you might go about turning that into a certification program. So now that some of the logistics are out of the way, I want to make a promise to you. When you implement the tips and tools that I have for you this evening, you're going to find yourself ready to take the next step towards greatly expanding your business by certifying others to teach your programs. And I hope that sounds good to you. Now, going back to why people call me the Certification Pro, and it's because my work today devoted to helping people and businesses just like yours to grow the business and widen their impact by certifying other coaches to deliver their programs. It's not a unique idea, but more and more you're going to start seeing coaches offering certification programs. Now, how did I come to develop this business that I'm talking to you about today, which is called the Program Certification Formula? Little bit of background is that I've been an entrepreneur for many, many years, and I've also been an instructional design expert and an author. During my break from being an entrepreneur, I worked as an executive of 3 different companies, C-level positions, including CEO of a company. So I've had the chance to look at how you develop businesses, how you make them grow. But then I really was able to specialize in 1998, when the web was still new, how to make a lot of information available to people online that before they had to bring trainers into their companies to get. So over these years that I'd been working, I had the privilege of developing web-based certification programs for companies that you'll recognize like Procter & Gamble, AT&T, American Express, and CNA Insurance, just to name a few. The work was done through my last big entrepreneurial effort, which was the opening and founding the Institute for Performance Excellence. So we started that company in 1998, as I mentioned before. The internet was still very, very new, and people were wondering how they could capitalize on this online learning to reduce some of the costs of bringing in trainers when you're repeating the same kinds of programs regularly. So in 1998, there we were, zero in revenue, I had made a small investment, was able to bring on 4 people for a fraction of what they were worth because I shared stock. And within a 3-year period, we grew the company to $6.5 million in revenue. We never operated in the red. It was always in the black. And then all the stars aligned after 3 years. And I was approached by a roll-up where people were doing technology roll-ups. I'm sure you remember that in the beginning of the 2000s. And they were interested in adding my company to their portfolio of businesses. So I sold it and then decided, now what do I do next? So because I had really started to get familiar with this whole online coaching type of approach, I also had the expertise to develop content. I eventually put a program together that focused on people, singles, that were looking for great relationships. And you might say, relationships? How did you get to that? Well, it wasn't too big a jump because as I was working for organizations and doing some executive coaching, I found that the biggest issues people had in their businesses were not that they didn't know the content, but it was at the upper level and really at all levels of the organization that they had problems in relationships. So that I started doing quite a bit of online work around business relationships. And then somebody talked to me about personal relationships. Now, I had a little bit of experience at that myself, having been married a couple of times before I met my current husband. But again, I'm going to save that for some time when you and I can sit down and maybe have coffee together. So I got into the personal relationship end of relationships, and I developed a training program for people called Fit for Love. And I went on and was doing the coaching, busy, busy calendar. As a matter of fact, I realized I had a ceiling on the amount of money I could earn just offering this coaching myself because I only had so many hours in a day. And it was only possible for me to coach so many people and still be really fresh with it. So I decided I would take Fit for Love and develop a certification program. And my goal was to get that program accredited by the International Coaching Federation. So there it came to be. It was Fit for Love formula, and it was a certification program that lasted for 10 weeks with coaches who had backgrounds in personal development, in general life coaching, in working with singles, but that they wanted to have a ready-made, proven program that they could say, I am certified in. So I started training coaches globally in this Fit for Love process that had been certified. And I also was successful because of my instructional design background in getting my program accredited through the ICF. And I'll talk to you about that a little bit later in our program. That's the International Coaching Federation. So last year, a colleague asked me, as I was certifying more of my own coaches, if I could walk her through the process that I went through to develop my certification program. So I thought about it a little bit, and then I said, well, here's what I did. And she said, hold on. You know, that may make a lot of sense to you, but that doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand the process that you used. And then I realized that, you know, my expertise from years I was taking for granted. So as I talked to this colleague about the possibility of helping her with that, I realized that a lot of coaches, a lot of you have amazing content, and you're just not sure how to leverage it. And I started thinking about your intellectual property, which is your content, and how do you monetize that even further? How do you take this incredible, incredible asset you have, which is your content? So then what I did is I started to answer those questions, and I developed a step-by-step program, which I'm going to tell you about in detail later, that will help you and anyone who has a product and a program to expand your reach and expand your revenue through a whole new revenue source by certifying others to deliver your programs. So I want to share my formula with you, the exact formula I've used, and I'm going to save you the hassles and years of effort it took me to get to this point where I have the ability and the capability to develop a certification program. So I want to walk you through some of the important steps that are part of discovering your gold mine. And the reason I called this program Discover Your Gold Mine is because you're probably sitting on an asset that has a huge untapped potential to it. And I want to guide you to start to tap that potential. And then that'll get you thinking of other pieces of content you have that you could also turn into programs, that you could also certify using the same exact formula you're going to hear about this evening. I use these techniques every day in my work. It's how I've expanded my business and my reach, which you can do too. These are the exact same tools I use so that you can experience results like mine for yourself. Now, you'll want to stick around through the end of the program because for those of you who are here or who listen to the replay, I have a special offer for you that you don't want to miss. So if you're on this hangout with me this evening, there is a strong chance that you're interested in considering how certification programs could help you grow your business. So let's take a look at the details of my formula that we'll get to, and we'll really start to break down how this will work specifically for you and with your needs. So as a little kind of a segue to get in there, I'm going to put John on the spot for just a minute because as I mentioned to you, John is not only the guru of Hangouts, but he's also taking his knowledge and his content and he's going to be certifying others to be Hangout gurus. So tell us a little bit, John, about what got you into the program and what it looks like you're going to be able to get out of it.
Sure, I'd be glad to. When we first were talking and first were looking at this, we were kind of looking at ways to spread our reach out to the communities because we saw, Hangouts a tremendous need for folks with causes and just to be able to get their expertise and value out to the public. It was just a great program that we put together, and it just seemed a shame not to be able to share it with more people. And as we were talking about certification, Sheila really made it one almost just such an easy process to see, where we could go with it and how we could extend our reach. And it has been. It's been a great process, and we're just going through the courses and certification now, obviously, and just gone through a few weeks. But it's been fantastic and really eye-opening because it really got us looking at the way that we put things together in a whole new light, and just how we would be able to teach it, influence others, and really kind of expand that out. So it's been very exciting so far. Really, really have enjoyed the the whole certification process, and it's been really, really eye-opening in a lot of ways.
Terrific. That's great. Thank you. So what does it mean to certify your signature program? So just think about that for a second for you. And what does that mean? Well, let me give you a few items that will tell you how powerful this is, a few examples. The first thing about certifying others to teach your program is that you'll increase your visibility and impact. So imagine, if you would, that you have these global brand ambassadors, which I have around the world. I have people who are certified in Fit for Love in Australia. I have them in the UK. I've got people taking it in Germany who are coaching in Germany, and of course lots of people in the United States. So all of these people who are certified Fit for Love coaches have my branding, Fit for Love, on their website. All of that links back to my website. So right there, you're getting better positioning with Google because you have so many links back to you. Imagine all of these people saying, I am a Fit for Love formula certified coach. So my branding gets out into the public in a much broader way than I could ever do it by myself. I'm going to talk to you a little bit later too about that branding and how important that's going to be for you if you decide to certify and develop a certification program for your signature products and programs. So there are 3 steps it takes to begin to look at this process of certification. And again, what we're talking about here is we're talking about your specific signature program. And I'm going to use John as an example since he's with us tonight, and I'll use again my business as an example. So the first important point for you and task is to really identify your market potential. So let me explain that to you just a little bit. I took a look at how many people possibly could be supported through Fit for Love. So again, all of the data is wonderful. It's available to you online. And I did a Google search and I got singles statistics. And what I was looking for, though, was probably singles over 35 who had tried relationships, who had had marriages that had failed, and just were not having the success they wanted. This market potential for me was 65 million people. That's huge market potential. So let's say that half of those people who are over 35 who are single, let's say half of them are still interested in dating. And let's say a small portion of those even is interested in really doing the self-improvement work that it takes to have a lasting relationship. Imagine those numbers. If you take 65 million, then you take half of those. So let's say that we're at somewhere around 30 million. And then we take a fraction of those, maybe 10%, that we're at 3 million. The market is tremendous. And let's take a look at identifying the market potential for John's business. So, John, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, but, how many people do you think could benefit by being able to talk to potential clients just like we're having a conversation this evening?
Oh gosh, lots, because it would certainly spread to local businesses, online businesses, like I said, causes, charities. It could be very, very extensive.
So yeah, so do you think though, you must have thought that you have the kind of market potential that would benefit by certifying your program.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and when you see this potential, like for me, it got me excited, as you can tell, because I thought this is huge. And when I work with people and help them develop a business plan so they can attract clients once they're certified, it's tremendous. So now it's just a matter of helping to focus it and to refine what the approach will be to get clients. But there are clients out there. So then take yours as that first step and identify your own market potential. Now you already have a successful program. I would imagine that you're thinking of certifying, or if your program is not quite there, look at it when you're developing your program. Does this have good market potential? And will I be able to repurpose my content for clients themselves or for coaches who I certify to work with new clients? So that's our first point. The second step then is to talk to coaches who fit your ideal profile, not with the idea that you're going to enroll them in your certification program, but you're going to be doing some market research. So what I did is I just did a search of relationship coaches, and I picked some that had a free product on their website. What that tells me when somebody has, so if you're searching for other people who do what you do or in the same kind of field, if they have a free product offering, it means that they're interested in growing their list, which means that they have already an online marketing system in place. So I looked for coaches who fit that ideal profile, and I talked to them. I explained the process, and the people that I started talking to were people who were general life coaches, help people to really get on track, plan their life, etc. And I started talking to them about this micro niche of people who really don't have a clue about what it takes to have a long-lasting, amazing relationship, and people who are jaded about relationships. So as I talked to them and asked them questions, what would it mean to you, I said, if you had a micro niche of singles who are desperate to find out what they're doing wrong, and they're desperate to be in a long-term relationship? If you had the answer for them, if you had the magic bullet, the golden key that could unlock these secrets, do you think you'd be able to work with that and it would be attractive to clients that you know? And I got a resounding yes, because at least half of the clients that my ideal profiles that I was talking to were working with were single. And many of them had the issues that they would bring up with their life coaches, that they don't know how to change this. They don't know how to really hook up with the right kind of person. So talking to other people who fit your profile and say, would you be interested then if I had a certification program that would allow you to be trained in Fit for Love for X amount of dollars? And I'm going to mention a little bit about pricing also a little bit later in the program. So that was your second step in terms of beginning the process of developing your certification program. Now the third process is a little bit more complex. And I want you to imagine this right now with your program. And I'm going to use the example again with John and the people that he's going to be certifying with his program. Okay? So John has a program that works on mastering Google Hangouts. And what he wants to do is he wants to certify others to be as proficient as he is in working with more clients and to become really experts with Google Hangouts. Now, John can't work with everybody, can he? So in developing his certification program, imagine John's going to have 2 tracks. One track, which I know John's already working with because he's working on the program, but one track is that he needs his coach trainees that are going to be enrolled in his certification program to understand his approach, right? To understand the meat of what it means to use Google Hangouts. So that's one track. The parallel track that John needs to develop, that I needed to develop, and that you'll need to develop, is how do you train a coach or another person to teach the steps of gaining Google Hangout expertise to other people. So you're really working in 2 tracks. And John, did that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely made sense.
Great. And so that's where we're coming from here, is that for Fit for Love, I had to have all of the coaches I was training understand my 10-step Fit for Love formula. But at the same time, I had to work with them to give them the skills and the competencies to work with their clients, to help their clients make those huge transformations that we promise in Fit for Love. So that's really the third step then, as we're getting into beginning the process of certification programs. Now there's another exciting component that I want to make sure and spend some time on from having a certification program. You will develop an entirely new revenue stream by licensing your existing programs. Think about that, and let me explain how that works for me. And then we'll talk generically how that would apply for you. So with Fit for Love, lots of content. I have a website that clients do all of their homework on, and it's an interactive client portal. So that's pretty valuable, I say, that tool. And then I also have the techniques that I've copyrighted on what to do to move forward from being a relationship failure to having an amazing, amazing relationship. So I've got the intellectual property. And you know that in our businesses, many times, and especially in our service businesses, our intellectual property is our biggest asset. And as a little side note, we really have to protect our intellectual property as we're going along. So how do we do that then? If you're going to be teaching other people to do your work, how do you protect your property? What you do is you develop a licensing agreement with all of the coaches that you will train. And as one of the benefits of taking the program certification formula that John has gotten is I include a template that has been reviewed by a copyright lawyer for protecting your intellectual property and for licensing it for a year at a time. So there are companies that license their content over and over to people for smaller amounts and larger amounts, depending on how much support you give. So for instance, in Fit for Love, I charge a licensing fee that's renewable annually to be able to continue to use the website portal for your clients, all of the content, all of the forms, and also to participate in a monthly mastermind where we talk about best practices. I charge only $275 a year for that licensing. And what I do, and it's included in my licensing tools that I give you, is that I make it so that it's automatically charged to a person's credit card. And we send out 30 days before renewal time, we send out a reminder and let people know that it's time to renew. And we have about an 85% renewal rate currently. There are higher end charges for licensing fees. One of the examples of a client that I've worked with in developing a certification program is $795 a year per person. But what they get with that is they get constant updates as new information is coming back. They never have to pay for the life of the program for new materials, new forms, new approaches. They also get mastermind calls, and they also once a quarter get a personal 30-minute chat with the person who developed that certification program. So you can see you can build more value into your licensing, and that is additional revenue for your company, but really value that helps your certified coaches to do the best job that they can with their clients. So this whole revenue stream is renewable, as I said, and it really is money while you sleep because there's very few things that you have to do in terms of just other than normally helping your coaches out, which we do naturally because we want them to be successful. So all of these, the tools and the templates to do this are included in the program certification formula program when I work with people. So John, do you have a sense yet of what you might be doing in terms of licensing your content that you've worked so hard on?
Yeah, I do have some sense. I mean, obviously, we're going through the process, and everything is very eye-opening, and it's kind of changed around. Obviously, I think when we first started, we were looking at kind of like one level of certification. Now we're looking at the fact that there might be several ways that we could certify, and kind of multiple levels of certification. Where at first, just kind of looked like maybe one. So obviously, going through the process is very eye-opening, and it really gets you thinking in a whole new way about how this can affect your business and how other people can benefit as well.
Great, and let me give you a little added bonus material here, talking about the value and protecting your intellectual property. It has become increasingly difficult for those of us that have programs that are delivered online to protect our copyrights. If you have information that's available to the general public, the lawsuits are coming out in favor of people who are grabbing that content because you haven't done anything to protect it, like having it password protected, just in a customer portal, making it very clear that you are working to protect this. If you have a private portal, which is what I do with the Fit for Love formula, and I also have a private portal for a program certification formula because all of the intellectual property I want to protect. And if somebody started to use my information to develop their own course, I would have the evidence and the support to say, I'm protecting. I have copyrighted, I've put a copyright trademark on my program, and I am protecting my intellectual property. So just take a look at what you're offering on your website, just as a little aside, because, you know, in working with me, you'll hear more and more about the things we have to do to protect our most valuable asset. And I really work closely with people to make sure that they're doing that. And there are often changes that we need to make in the websites, in the wording that we use to take care of that. So let's move then from this idea of intellectual property. You know, we've covered then some of the beginning steps to start the process of certification. And we talked a little bit about the recurring revenue that you'll be getting from it. And that, by the way, is in addition to the revenue that you'll get for certifying people. Let me give you some market standards so that you can just imagine the kinds of revenue you'll develop from training these new coaches. I have seen programs run from the least expensive, to which was $2,997, $2,997, to the most expensive, which was over $13,000 to just get a certification. And then on top of that, you had to do an annual licensing to continue to get those materials. So you can see that there's a broad range of pricing. You are going to price your program when you put together your certification program based on, and listen to this, it's very important, based on the potential that it gives the person who is getting certified in your program. So imagine then, I'm helping my coaches in Fit for Love, I'm helping them to develop a whole new offering. How much is that offering worth if they can get to a market they couldn't have gotten to before that has so many people in it? So put a price tag. What is the potential to generate in earnings? And then you'll be able to see the value that you're bringing to the table. And charging an appropriate amount is going to be easy for you to do. Now, personally, you probably like to know what I charge for Fit for Love for those coaches. My certification program, I believe, is very affordably priced, and I charge $39.97 for that. And then there's a whole bunch of things that go with that. And I do include my first year of licensing in the original price they pay. So that's another form of revenue that you're going to be getting through your certification program. Now, another benefit to you is you are going to have a process with your certification program to increase your credibility and your quality by taking this program you develop according to the format that I've been talking about and having your content accredited and your approach accredited by the International Coaching Federation, which I mentioned to you a little bit earlier. Currently, on my website, what I can do is use the ICF's logo. This is an ICF accredited program for coaches. And that gives a lot of credibility to it because people know that if you get that good housekeeping seal of approval, there are a lot of hoops that you have to jump through, a lot of steps you have to take, and a lot of giving proof to how valuable your information is and how well thought through, and the fact that you have a plan that moves a person from point A to point B that's easy to understand, that will guarantee some measure of success. And that's what an ICF accreditation does for you. And what I do is I walk you through it through the process. And I'll give you kind of a short form of what I did and what I went through. So I started looking for organizations that certify coaches, and there's quite a few of them. But I took a look specifically, I was looking at organizations that will use outside content to give continuing education credits or to be included in that organization's offerings that count towards their graduation credits. So I found one particular large organization that many people are a member of, and you've probably heard of the International Coach Federation. So I contacted them and I said, what's the process that you go through to get your content certified? And it just so happens that they have a huge application, very, very complex, that one needs to complete. There's also a small fee under $300 to go through the process with ICF. So I took a look at this program and the application and went through filling it out. That process took me probably a week to really put the quality and the thought, because I had to identify for the ICF every single competency that ICF requires for coaches. I had to identify which ones I was teaching, how much time I spent on it, how much time people would spend in self-study, which is called asynchronous learning. So you're learning on your own schedule, and then how much time would they spend live online with me to get support, new content, and to practice, which is called synchronous learning. So I had to do programs and schedules and attachments and put all that together for the ICF. One of my goals with program certification formula is to make this so much easier for people to actually share with you my examples of what I did, and to give templates too that you can submit to ICF. Makes it much, much simpler to do that. So after about 10 days, the ICF got back to me, and they just had a couple of questions and said they didn't need anything additional from me. About 2 weeks later, I think it was, I got a notice from ICF that said my program was accredited to award 6 continuing education credits to coaches that took my program. That was just tremendous. And then I also got a little side note from one of the reviewers that said that this was one of the very few applications that he's ever done where they haven't had to go back and to redo it. So I thought that was great, and I really think it was because of the strong instructional design background I have, and making sure my program was designed to meet all of those competencies and requirements from the get-go. So imagine then having that logo, the ICF logo, or any other certifying body's logo on your website with an accreditation seal. I think that it separates us, and those of us who have it, from people who don't. It shows we've gone the extra mile to make sure that the content and the quality is there in our program. So, John, do you think that you're going to go through the step of an ICF certification? I think John's muted right now. Okay, I won't ask John this question. And there he is.
I'm sorry, I had to hop up for a second.
Okay. So, John, I was asking you if I was talking about the credibility and quality that you get by having your programs accredited by the ICF, and I wondered if you might be pursuing that yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was funny as we went along, and the more we got involved with Hangouts and webinars, and it became clear that we had a whole very large group of coaches involved. So, you know, being accredited by ICF just seemed to make all the sense in the world.
And that's great. Yeah. And It really does make a tremendous difference, but it's not necessary if you decide that you're going to develop a certification program. It's not a have to do the ICF certification, but I think it's a nice addition for people to go through. And when you learn more about what's involved in the process, you can make the decision about how that will work for you. So as you can see, I hope that you're starting to imagine taking this program of yours that you're developing that you are delivering to clients, that's working, that's making a difference in people's lives, and now you're getting ready to think about expanding that reach of yours so that you can have people all over the world training others in your specific and protected content. It's amazing to think about having that happen. You're not doing anything, and yet people all around are learning your programs and processes. So I really do have a lot to share with you, including how you're going to get these brand ambassadors around the world. And I'll get to that in just a few minutes. But what I wanted to do for you is I wanted to go over this program certification formula that I've been referring to, and to let you know that it is a very hands-on program. You know, you're not working with another master coach, you're working with me, and it's really one of a kind. I haven't seen anything else like it out there for professionals just like you who are interested in the exact steps that are necessary to turn your program into a certification program. So I'll briefly share the details of how our program works with you, and then we'll talk about what that might look like as a part of your business. We have 8 sessions in program certification formula. We look at your existing program and we develop it by the end of those 8 sessions into a completed certification program. Now, if you have a certain level of complexity and lots of materials, like I know John does, it may take a month or 2 longer than when we've completed our programs. But as long as John is working on his program, he has my support and the support of our company to make sure his final program is exactly what he wants it to look like. So we don't stop working with you after we've completed the 8 sessions. But let me tell you about what we'll teach you, though, during those sessions. The first introductory session is really the approach. I'm going to give you the formula to exponentially grow your business by having this line of business, which is a program that you can certify other coaches in. It increased my business threefold by having this kind of a certification process. And I work much less now with clients directly. And what I've done as part of the package for my coaches, I refer out people who are inquiring about working with the Fit for Love process. So that's another benefit that I'm giving people who are certified, and you can think about doing that for your coaches too. The second module is where I work with you to develop high impact content. So it's those 2 tracks I talked about. It's making sure that your original content is as strong as it can be with guaranteed performance outcomes. And then I make sure that you have that track that's as strong as it can be, teaching the coaches how to deliver the content that goes to that end user. So we develop and we take a look at things I like to call learning objects, but you can call them chunks. And I teach you the difference between having your coach trainees know how to do something, which I call the K factor, and the difference between that and then being able to do that exact skill, which I call the D factor. So there's certain things that I need my coaches to know, and there are many things I need them to be able to do. So I work with you on developing your knowing and doing components for each of your modules as you go through the program. And you get the support of peers who are also taking the program to give you suggestions and to review any questions you might have. Our third module is where we really talk about the specific chunks and how it's going to work step by step to allow better retention and better performance. So, for example, one of the chunks that I have when a person first starts learning how to be a Fit for Love coach is I have a relationship scan. That's a tool that I give to all of my singles. And it's really a self-assessment that goes back to their first relationship to be able to identify patterns that they've had in picking people. So I want to make sure that people know how to do the relationship scan and that they understand and have the skills to actually work with the client. So all of these pieces of your program are chunked. So you have your module, and then you have chunks that go underneath it. All are chunks of knowing and doing. So that's what we really spend time understanding and being able to do in the third module. And for each of the modules, by the way, there is homework to do. So it gives you the chance to apply the learning. The next piece I go into is more about it's your next level of knowing and doing, and how you can make guarantees for transformations that your coaches are going to experience and their clients will experience. So imagine in a good program, and I bet in your program that you have now, you have a bunch of mini transformations that take place on the way to having the final transformation. So the transformation that I offer to Fit for Love client, for example, is that by the end of the program, they are going to go from not understanding the triggers in relationships and why they pick the people they do, to all the way to point B, which is having the expertise to understand personal triggers, to be able to make decisions based on values, and to be capable of having a long-term relationship. That's a big promise, isn't it? So what we do is along the way, we make sure when you're going through the program certification formula that you are making these promises to people. And the other thing it does is it keeps people engaged. So there's a statistic I'm not sure if you're familiar with, and for those of you already who have programs that are successful, you'll know this, and that is in online programs and the work that we're doing online and the programs we're selling, the average percentage of people who complete it and who can say that they're experiencing that transformation is only 30%. That's not good enough for me. So by approaching it the way we do and reminding people of the transformation to come and then grounding them with where they are in the process, you do this for the client and you also do it for your coaches, and you help them to see how much expertise they're gaining along the way. It really makes a tremendous difference. And I was just taking a look. I've got a class right now that's going through that John's a part of, and we're getting over 85% completion of all of the homework, which is tremendous. It's almost unheard of. So I think we're doing it right by letting people know the reason that they're doing all of this stuff and what the transformation is going to be when they're finished. The fifth module, then, we start to get down. So now you have all of your content done. You have all of your approach. You have two tracks, the track of the information in your program and the track of training these new coaches to deliver all of that information. Then we address how you assemble your certification materials, your certification program. I'll give you examples of member portals like the ones that I'm using currently, and I'll give you examples of materials. I have a template for developing a workbook, graphics, tools, and the method of delivery that you want to use. So all of that is done and explained, and then you have the opportunity to apply it to your program in our 5th session together. In the 6th session that we do, oh, this is getting hard to pronounce, it's marketing your certification program. I want to work with you to target and test your market, to help you find potential participants, and to help you license your content. So, for example, and I'm getting ahead of it because I think John is just getting ready to start session 4, aren't you, John?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I know John mutes himself because he's so polite on Hangouts, so that's why sometimes it takes a little pause there. But with the marketing, I could imagine that John would be able to go to immediately as a market all of the people who have webinars, just telephone webinars, and take a look at these people and to develop some marketing pieces that show the difference in the impact of having a webinar and a hangout. Because you can feel after this evening that you know Sheila a little bit, you know, at least what I look like, what I sound like, what I'm about, and you know John some as a result of tonight. And we don't have that dimensionality without working, you know, in a live kind of a video format. So I can imagine that John would be going to people like that currently know the power of having workshops online but taking it to the next level. And then, John, we'd probably work together, and we will work together to show you some of the best and easiest and least expensive ways to attract that market. And so that's what we'll be going. So I'm giving you a little kind of peek, John, into what we're going to be doing in just a couple of more weeks with yours. So the next session that we'll do, which is session 7, is called, I like to call it Accreditation and Beyond. This is where you're going to learn the exact steps to have your program accredited by the ICF. I also want to let you know that if there's another accrediting body that you'd like to reach out to, my staff will research what that might take to get it accredited, and we will communicate that with you and help you tailor an application to another organization. So we really customize this for your needs. In the final session that we have, our final module when we work together, is called Next Steps, where I'm going to make sure that before we say goodbye or until the next time, because there are next times once you finish these 8 modules, you're going to have a concise plan. If you haven't completed your certification program, you will know the exact time frame where you'll complete it. You'll know when you're going to submit to the ICF, and you're going to know your first 5 essential marketing steps to build your new clients that you'll be training as your coaches. So it's a proven system. You know, we've had classes going through here. I've also worked individually with people that didn't want to go through the class but wanted to go through my process. It guides people. It guides all of the people who have participated from A to B, because it can be very overwhelming to just think about what it takes to certify other coaches to deliver it. You don't even have to think about it. All you have to do is go step by step. And I do want to just tell you that in reality, there is a time commitment here. It's not just attending the class. It's taking the time to do the homework, and it's also taking the time to take advantage of a bonus that I offer, which is a private work with me as you're going through the program. I offer at least a minimum of 1 session, and then clients are available to upgrade to have more than 1 session where they're working one-on-one with me for anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. So I want to make sure that you're successful, because that's what my mission is. You know, I am all about helping people to transform their businesses, to give yourself another form of revenue that you hadn't had before. And so you get me walking every step of the way. And I know, here you are having me talk about myself, but John, how has the interaction felt to you so far?
It's been super because a lot of times, we may have a particular thought in mind, and then, somebody else in the class brings up something that completely changes our perspective on everything. So it's really great to have that interaction, and it's a nice broad group of coaches that are involved in your program. So you really get some really different outlooks on things that I don't think I would get any other way. And I can't imagine going through the certification without your help.
Oh,
I mean, it would
thank
be it really, because it would just be I don't know. It's the things that come up without that prompting. I just don't know that I would be able to naturally make my way through that. So
And thanks, John. And
you're
one of the
welcome.
things John and I did, it was really fun when he started exploring certification. John and I did a strategy session together, which I'm always available to do with you. You'll get some information tomorrow, too, if you'd like to have a free strategy session one-on-one with me, and we do it on this kind of a format where we can both see each other. So we had a strategy session, and I took a look at all of John's content and then helped him chunk it into the exact modules that he can be using. So you take something that's very, very big, your big bucket, and then I can really help you to develop the modules, or you may already have those developed. I like to meet you where you are in this program, even though you're working with your peers also. So the program certification formula is something that you can count on. It's not hoping, it's not wishing, it's not imagining. It's a real formula that real coaches are using to get you to where you want to be, where you have more impact, more revenue, and I don't know about you, but I like the idea of having more free time. And that's certainly what I got when I started to certify other coaches to deliver my products. I've guided many other people through this journey, and there's lots of proof that it works. So I told you there were some things in addition to the 8 live weekly content hangouts. Those hangouts, those 8 sessions that include time with me that is valued at $2,997. And you're going to receive 5 valuable bonuses as well as a program discount. So I'm going to share that with you after I talk about our last topic, which is creating brand ambassadors around the world. So let's take a look at that, actually, the brand ambassadors part, and then we'll finish up on the investment in the program. And I really do have some tremendous discounts because I want everyone who is on this call or who listens to the program to feel like they can afford to do this for their businesses and for themselves. I want this to become a standard in the coaching industry. So let's talk about creating your brand ambassadors around the world. You're going to have people, as I mentioned to you earlier, who are going to be using your logos, your marketing programs, suggestions, your content materials that you come up with on their websites. You can also, and this is how I've handled it, but you can handle it differently than that. On my home website, I have developed the portal that the coaches can use that have been certified for their clients. And I give that to them free of charge, just as being a certified Fit for Love coach. And I will be able to help you with templates, with suggestions, with software that I use, with different software that other people use, so that you can have some amazing tools to help make your coaches successful. And I love the fact that if I'm contacted by a person, I have a cadre of talented coaches, and I can say, I'm going to match you up with somebody I think that'll be perfect for you. And that person is, and then I give a name, and here's how you'll get in touch with each other. And I have a process and a form that they fill out, and it's sent to the person that I recommend them to. If there's not a match, if they don't feel like there's a match in their first discovery call, I'll suggest other people. So I am really trying to help build these great ambassadors who love Fit for Love, who are talking to you about their clients. Their clients are telling other people. And it has this amazing, imagine this logarithmic mushrooming kind of effect by having people who use your materials. There's nothing better to me. There's just a new person that went through my Fit for Love program, and she sent me the link to her website. And there it was, my logo, you know, this is how she's certified, and the connection to our client website. It just felt amazing. And this is a benefit of being able, of what you'll get when you certify your signature program. The visibility is great too. So I want to make it easy for you to say yes to the program certification formula. So completing this type of project, as you can imagine on your own, it's a possibility and it works in some cases. But you know that getting started and having the exact formula step by step and being accountable for doing the work are 3 steps that are going to guarantee your success in any new venture. And that's what I bring to you, are those steps of getting started, of having an exact formula, and being accountable for getting your work done. So in addition to all of that, I mentioned that I've added 5 bonuses that are going to ensure your success, which means that I've done my job well, because I want everyone to be able to give me terrific testimonials at the end. So the first bonus is unlimited access to me through email. That's valued at $500. That's unlimited as long as you are still working on your certification program. And then after you've finished your certification program, I'm also available to answer emails, but I don't answer them as quickly, because if you're in the class, you will get a 10-hour turnaround. You know, no more than 10 hours on your emails. And if I can't answer your question right then, you'll get a response email, what I need to research, and then I'll get back to you. So it's unlimited during the program. You'll also get 3 30-minute private coaching sessions, not just one that I mentioned earlier, which I normally offer in the programs. But for this group, I'm giving you 3 30-minute private coaching sessions with me, where I'm going to review your content, review your progress, and make specific recommendations to you. This has a value, these 3 sessions, of $975. You're also going to receive 1 free month's membership in the Program Certification Mastermind, where you're going to meet the other people who have gone through this program, that are at various stages of getting their programs accredited, various stages of marketing. They'll share what's worked for them, what hasn't, and I do a new topic in each of these monthly hangouts where I talk about some state-of-the-art piece of information that's happening with instructional design, or methods that you can use in having people apply the content that you give them. So normally, for people, the first month after they finish the program, they are paying $297 a month to be part of this mastermind, and you will receive your first month's free, your first 1 month free. The 4th bonus is that you're going to get all of the templates and resources that I've developed in my process that I know work. And I've gotten permission from some of my other clients to use their templates to make your certification and accreditation efforts much, much easier. Already what we have on the portal that you get access to as being part of our PCF family is you have the licensing outlines and examples. You have a workbook template. You have the ICF application. You'll get all of the materials, and I continue to develop new tools, and all of those will be available to you for your lifetime, for as long as you want it. You will have unlimited access to your membership portal. So your membership portal also has in it, every class we do is done in a Hangout. So you're going to see your peers, you're going to see your colleagues live. you will have lifetime access to your recordings so that when you have another program that you want to certify, you don't have to take the class all over. You've got all of the content, all of the resources right there. And the fifth bonus that we're giving is that you are going to have a lifetime membership to our private Google Plus group, where people are getting on and sharing best practices. You can request support from your peers. You can post an outline that has modules and ask for feedback. And that access is valued at $377. So if we add up the bonuses alone, it's $2,646. When we add the 8 content modules, the initial value is $5,643. But remember, my mission is to help you discover and develop your personal gold mine now. So that means I'm going to keep it affordable for the time being, and I have discounted the entire package, the 8 live sessions, all of the bonuses, to only $1,997. And we have it available for you as a 1-pay and a 3-pay option. So let's see, what I'm going to do is display a little note for you that has a link. And this link is to the enrollment form that goes over all of the information that I gave you, plus additional information, and to answer questions that you might have. So again, it's available at $19.97 as a 1 and a 3-pay option. And I offered you a special gift at the beginning of the program. So here it is, and you may want to get your pencil and mark this down. I'm offering an additional discount of $200 that's good for the next 72 hours. So your whole investment for the entire package, where Sheila Paxton by your side to get you through this process, is only $1,797. And think of the value this is going to add to your business. Think of how quickly you'll make that, and 100 times past that. So how much is that new revenue source worth to you? It's a small fraction of your potential. So go to the link that I have posted, programcertificationformula.com, and then it's /PCF enroll. To join our next class, you'll see when the next class is as you go to register. But on the payment form, you're going to see a promo code box. To get the additional $200 off, I want you to enter this promo. And John, maybe if you can post this for people as I'm talking about it. The promo is in all caps, the word gold, G-O-L-D, and the number 200. Gold 200. And again, remember, all caps in the gold. And then you'll be able to get that additional amount reduced from your program. So there were some of you that registered early, where in the mailing for this Google Hangout, I offered a very, very special gift for people who registered early. You should have received a special promo code in an email. Please use that, and if you can't locate it, send me a message. And my personal, if you want any other information from me, my personal information, and John, if you can post this, is my email is Sheila@programcertificationformula.com. That's Sheila@programcertificationformula.com, where I can answer all of your questions. And finally, to give you complete peace of mind, I'm offering a risk-free, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. So within the first 30 days of your membership and joining us in the program certification formula, if you're not getting what you expected to get from the program, I am going to refund 100% of your purchase. No questions asked, and we're still going to be friends. I'll still answer your emails even. Again, you'll see all of this in the registration form, which is, and you'll see your guarantee there, programcertificationformula.com/PCF enroll, and the promo code is all caps gold 200, no spaces in between that. So now it's your turn. I've talked a lot, and you can tell how excited I am and how committed I am to helping you with this process. So I want to field questions. You can enter questions if you'd like in the chat box on the right. Let's take a look. And John, I'm going to have you field questions if you can. I see we may be getting some private messages also. So let's take a look at what we've got.
Okay, I'll do that. How about this one, Sheila? What types of programs are best to develop into certification programs?
Any program really that takes people on a step-by-step process where they're learning and then they're doing new information. So for example, yours, that is a process of teaching people how to become Google Hangout masters. Mine, which is teaching people to be able to coach others to become fit for love. Other programs we're working with is programs that are centered on tapping, teaching people the emotional freedom technique and using those for your work. There are other programs that are certified that are helping people to work on their retirement plans and how to become a retirement expert. And so all kinds, you just imagine, anything that has a process to it really is eligible.
Okay, this seems like it could be a major time investment. What can somebody expect, regarding the time commitment?
I'm going to say reasonably 5 hours a week.
Okay.
If you invest that 5 hours a week in coming to the class and doing the homework and continuing to develop along with the rest of the class, it should take about 5 hours a week. That's it, to get such a big new piece for yourself at the end of the program.
All right. And how do I find potential coaches once I've completed the program?
Well, I mentioned that a little bit earlier, and that is that you can use your network of people that you might already have on your list, people who have taken your program who you think might want to be interested in becoming certified. I have one of my clients who's also a relationship coach that is going back to the people that have gone through it, that are showing an interest in the techniques that she teaches people and talking to them. You can go and take a look at other people that are buying programs, and you can work with joint venture partners to help them market for you in exchange for getting commissions for the program. There's probably 20 different ways we'll talk about for getting those marketed.
Okay. And what if I need more support as we're going along in the developing of the certification program?
Then what you'll be able to do is to talk to me personally, and I offer additional coaching support that can be through live sessions like we have now that'll be recorded that you can keep, or we can just do them via telephone where I record the telephone conversations. And you and I will work together to work out what works for you in terms of an additional fee. What it normally runs is $100 per half hour of my time, and then if you buy so many modules, there's a discount that we'll give you on that. But I like to work through that on an individual basis.
Okay, and I know you mentioned the mastermind group earlier. How does that mastermind group work?
You will receive a monthly invitation, and we're going to be meeting in a Google Hangout. I will talk about some point of content that I want you to know about, and then we'll have people share their best practices, talk about the wins that you're having, and you'll be able to talk about the struggles you're having too, and get suggestions from other people on what they've done to overcome some of those. So it's really strong peer support that meets monthly, that has in between the Google Plus forum, the Google Plus group, that you can also correspond with and chat with between our monthly meetings.
Excellent. And why, Sheila, should I get my program certified, or accredited, I should say?
Well, I'm going to turn that question that one of our guests asked us back to you, John. Why do you think you want to get your program certified?
Well, the big reason I wanted to get my program certified, obviously, is to just get it out in front of more people. You know, I obviously saw that it's something that could be just a huge, huge benefit to everyone out there. And so, I mean, that was really the reason that I wanted to get it accredited, just so it could have more reach than I could personally give it myself.
Yeah. And for me, I wanted to be able to reach definitely more people without getting burnt out working with clients as the relationship coaching clients. I wanted to expand the reach and expand it quickly. And I was able to do that by having a certification program.
Excellent.
Yeah. And John, did
Oh,
you
go ahead.
see
I'm
a
sorry.
new one that just popped up that you
I
might
did.
want
I
to read?
did. We
Yeah.
got a question from Nancy, and I'm going to read that for you. It says from Nancy. She says, "I have a special kind of situation. I wrote a workbook for people with chronic illness and disabilities, and I have an in-person course to use the workbook, and also plan an online program based on the workbook. I presented to Kaiser Hospital Pain Management Department, and she was very impressed with the book. Bought a copy. I have the feeling she's going to use the workbook herself in her program, even though I spoke to her about my plan to license credentialed professionals and organizations such as hers to use the book. My book is copyrighted, and there's a clause on limited photocopying use, but I don't feel that's enough protection." That's a good question.
That is, yeah, that's a great question. And let me address it kind of how I would approach that, Nancy, and see how this works for you. As you're talking to this person, I think it's important to let them know that you have a process where you certify people to be able to use your tools and instruments. And you could do a shortcut process to do that. You know, we could take you through a fast track just to get an agreement together for you and just to teach some basics about how to use your materials, because you can let her know that there are tips and techniques that only you pass on to people, which gives them the unlimited access for the license period to use this information. So you might want to go back and have a conversation like that with the person, but right up front, when people start showing an interest in what you're doing, to let them know, to let if they're interested in your content, that you have a process that certifies people to be able to use this intellectual property. Let me know on the chat if I answered your question or if you need more information, Nancy.
Okay. And I was going to say, you know, one of the common questions that we get a lot is, how do I develop a content licensing program in general? Do you have a little more input on that?
Well, you go through the steps that I talked about
Mm,
before to
yeah.
develop your certification program, and then you really take a look at licensing. What do you want to open your program up for? How much can they use the materials? For instance, on my licensing agreement, it says that you have to have my copyright on all of the materials that go out to clients.
Mm.
So the Fit for Love copyright has to be on that. And if by chance it's discovered, you know, that one of the people who, and, you know, we have staff that'll go around and just do some searching on Fit for Love and see who else, you know, who's using it, to make sure that the forms are in the correct method. We specify step by step the colors to be used on the logo, you know, how that's done. So again, you know, that I have the process and the templates that you'll work with to make sure that all of your materials are protected.
And one question I think that everybody's going to know or want to ask is, what happens if I miss one of the live classes?
Yes, and the live classes are definitely live. As I said earlier, we are recording every single one of the programs. So the day after the class, the live class happens, you'll see the video automatically pops up in the membership portal, and you'll have access to that video, and also your assignment comes up with a form that you complete right in your portal. When you submit it, a copy comes to you, so you can keep it, and a copy comes to me so that I can review it before we have our next session. So you'll see everything is there that people got during the class, and especially the video recording where you can hear every single word that I said and the input from your peers in the program.
Okay. And I don't know. I don't have any more questions, Sheila. I think that
Okay,
wraps things
so
up from my end.
good. And
Um,
does anybody else out there right now? We have a couple
I'm going to
more
just check a second
minutes.
here and ask.
and refresh and see. If anybody has questions, then we can take those. And also remember, I gave you the my personal email so that you can respond to me. But please check out the form that I talked about, our registration form, which really spells everything out for you, which you can get to by clicking www, the link programcertificationformula.com/PCF-enroll, and go ahead there to look at it.
I was going to say, Nancy had a follow-up question here where she
Yes.
asks, I don't want to insult her by accusing her of planning to use the materials and by reminding her this material is copyrighted. Any advice on how to approach her?
Sure. One of the things that I would probably do is to say, you know, I was thinking about the materials and how relevant these are and how excited you are about using them for Kaiser, and just wanted to let you in on something that would probably improve the ability to use these materials, and that is my certification program. So you could just do it like that. And for futures, you'll be able to do it up front. So yeah, Nancy, you can try that one. So it looks like we're just about out of time. Again, I'm so glad that you were here with us this evening to be able to go through the process, what it's meant to me, what it's meant to clients of mine, and what it can mean for you, the absolute opportunity that's just waiting for you. So again, go to programcertificationformula.com/PCF-enroll. And remember this saying, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. So break out and develop a revenue stream that'll last and last for you long after you yourself are delivering the program. So thank you for joining us. And John, thank you for being my great host companion this evening, and for helping us with the Hangout. Yeah, it was just great. And to all of you, the recording will be available so that you can go back through it. And again, thank you for your precious time.
Bye, everyone.